Hey everyone, welcome back. Over the past few months, I've been drawing less and scrolling a lot more, and honestly, I really missed making art and filling a lot of pages in my sketchbook. So this week, I'm challenging myself to spend 7 days creating again. So no procrastination, no endless Instagram loops, just me, my sketchbook, and a fresh start. Let's see what I can make in 1 week of art. So last week, I was going through my old sketchbooks to look at some older art, but also to see how much I used to do. I used to only work in one sketchbook at a time, so that's also a reason why it seems like I'm not progressing in one sketchbook. But anyways, while I was going through this sketchbook right here, I saw this drawing I did, which I liked a lot back then. I always put these in between the pages to protect the drawings, but I used to do these flower drawings right here. I can't remember what I used specifically, but I think I used watercolors as a base layer and went on top with color pencils. I know for sure I used the Caran d'Ache luminance pencils. I think this is where I developed my love for these types of vintage color palette that I use a lot in my drawings. So I thought to start off this week of art, I might do something similar like this, but with a winter flower arrangement. I will go through Pinterest and see what pictures of flowers I can find. And so let's get started. So I didn't specifically copy one picture, but I took different flowers and put them all together as a flower arrangement. I used some washi tape to have clean borders. I didn't film the sketching part because I sketch very lightly and it is very difficult to see on camera. So I started this painting with a light wash of this turquoisey mint color as an underpainting layer. I mixed turquoise blue with yellow ochre and buff titanium, all by Van Gogh. After that dried completely, I started putting base colors down using my Kuretake Genzai Tambi paints. The reason why I switched to those was because I wanted this Christmassy vintage color, and with the Kuretake paints there are a lot of those colors already in the palette, so it was more of a practical decision. With my other watercolor sets, I would have had to mix a lot of these colors, especially the cream colors or the more minty greens, so you can totally mix them, but I was too lazy for that. I didn't do much detail work with watercolors, just a bit on the berries and the center of the flowers, and especially on the leaves. I wanted a solid color layer to be able to do some sharp details with color pencils. I use the Faber-Castell Polychromos. They are perfect for those crisp details, for the thin veins in the petals and leaves. I really loved working on the first red flower. That was my favorite part of this piece. The slow buildup of color and how detailed and vibrant it turned out. Lately I've been really enjoying taking my time with pieces like this and putting down layer after layer, being careful not to put too much pressure and seeing it slowly coming together. I use the same process for the rest of the flowers, just taking my time with it. I really love the composition and the colors I picked. This is even better than how I had imagined it in my mind. To draw a bit more during this, I decided to take this Hahnemühle DNS sketchbook that I started last year in December and haven't finished yet. I work in different sketchbooks. I used to only work in one at a time, but last year I decided to use different sketchbooks for different mediums or purposes, so it takes a bit longer to finish one. Anyway, since I wanted to draw more, I'm not going to focus on finished artworks like the flower painting only, because finishing one of them takes more time, obviously. So I wanted to do some doodle pages here and there just to relax and have fun. And since I was in Christmas winter mood, I decided to sketch out some teacups with autumn or winter vibes to them. Nothing too complicated, just ink, because I love doing line work. I love designing the different cups. There is something so therapeutic about making line work with ink. To color in these doodles, I use the Artix colored pencils, using colors that fit the current season we are in and the theme. I just went straight in without any shading or anything too fancy, just like a child having fun. I wanted to take the pressure off me that everything has to be perfect, and doing these pages felt very freeing for me because I always go for finished pieces, fully blended, and here I'm starting to just use the sketchbook as a kind of playground to experiment and have fun. And I really like how these turned out. These are good ways you can fill up your sketchbook pages quicker. Pick a theme and just doodle around. For the second spread, I drew different cookies instead of the teacups, but I used the same line work and coloring approach. These are also good to warm up before a painting or a bigger drawing session, or to just calm down and relax after a long day. They are simple and quick to do, and you can draw these everywhere and use whatever mediums you prefer. So for the next drawings, I kind of stayed in the same sketchbook. This wasn't planned out at all. I was listening to Taylor Swift's The Faith of Ophelia, and for some reason I imagined this kind of 20s or 30s poster illustration. So I took my sketchbook out and started sketching what I kind of saw in my mind. I sketched out this lady in my usual style and then started inking. Since I still had my Kuretake paints laying around on my desk from the flower painting, I decided to take some colors that I had envisioned in my mind and looked kind of from the 20s. I really wanted to do the background in this kind of golden yellow color. I was just going with the flow, not really knowing what I was doing at all. I used some dark gray for the dress to have some sort of big contrast in there. Also, I love wearing black, and in a lot of those posters, these are kind of the typical colors. You have the more pastel colors against solid blacks. I doodled some background elements around and did some lettering, and then did a second page in that style again, but a bit different. I really liked the first one so much that I had to do a proper painting of. Also, the phrase I chose to incorporate, which is "shine on your own," resonated a lot with me and my current situation, where I'm going through some tough times and have to do some big life changes to have a better life. During tough situations, we tend to only see the sadness and the bad things, but this time I don't want to focus on the negative parts only and give those more weight. Hard times and having really bad days are part of life, but I want to turn these into life lessons, changing patterns in my behavior that don't serve me anymore. While drawing, I really felt that I don't want to only feel this sadness and emptiness. I want to take something meaningful out of all this messy situation. I want to turn this into something positive. That's why the quote "shine on your own" was so powerful for me at that moment, because right now I'm standing up again on my own and build myself up for the better. And I put in the work not only in self-development, but I use the energy to create and make art, which is my purpose and the thing I love doing the most. During that day, I saw a video of Denzel Washington saying, "I'm going home with something." And that is exactly what I want from this whole situation I'm in right now. Not just sadness, I'm going home with something, a learned lesson and a step in the right direction. With this video, one of the main goals was getting to draw more and stop wasting time while scrolling on Instagram, for example. And while I was drawing, I developed more and more ideas. You just have to get away from distractions and focus on meaningful things, and opportunities and ideas will flow in naturally, like what happened with the illustrations here. I went from listening to a song to develop an idea and realizing some big lessons for my life and future. Anyways, I changed quite a bit from the initial sketch, especially on the background and the dress. I could have gone for solid colors, but I wanted to leave the watercolor texture showing as a hidden message of life isn't perfect. We are all imperfect, but this is what's making us all beautiful in our own way. Since I like the blue background as well, I did another illustration which I made a YouTube shorts out of, so go check that one out as well. So yesterday evening I sat down and filled up a bunch of pages in the sketchbook. I wanted to practice some birds and some squirrels because I wanted to get in the mood for some animal illustrations. So I started this sketchbook right here last year on December for animal illustrations like this. I wanted to draw animals throughout the seasons, and I did a lot of autumn related drawings in here, but then throughout the year I did other things, so I didn't really use this sketchbook here as much. I just did 2 spring illustrations, and so I think it's time to continue in the sketchbook and do another drawing. And what time is better than right now, where I'm trying to draw and paint more. So let's go and do a autumn illustration. I went on Pinterest to get some inspiration, and I designed this little scene with this cute little squirrel standing there in between of all these different mushrooms. I drew the mushrooms bigger in proportion to give a more enchanted forest feeling to the page. Overall, I went for a simple look, not too busy. I outlined everything with a dark brown Pigma Micron pen. I usually go for black, but lately I've been feeling using other colors, especially dark brown. Feels more warm overall. It's not as in your face as black, and I kind of prefer the brown for these illustrations. I used my Van Gogh watercolor palette for the whole painting. I started with this greenish blue underpainting, which I did a bit darker on purpose there in the left corner. Since this area is empty, I let that layer dry fully before I started painting on top. For the rest of the painting process, I will leave you with some cozy music. Enjoy it, grab a cup of tea, and I'll catch you guys for the final drawing in this video. This last page was also improvised as well. Before starting to film for this video, I wrote down some ideas I wanted to draw for this video, but as you saw, I had some random ideas that I just had to draw, which is totally okay. I can use the other ideas for another video. It's better to have more ideas than not having any at all. So I was still in the vibes for some positive art. Since Inktober, I've been into drawing these types of ink characters. Again, I went in with no plan at all, just started sketching. I wanted this illustration to be very light and delicate. I wanted the focus to be more on the line work, but I also didn't want to leave it completely white, so I did an underpainting layer, and on top of that I just colored in everything with one more layer without any shadings. I really like how this one turned out, and I also enjoyed doing art for this video and doing a bit of deep talk so you get to know me a bit better, and I got a bit of thoughts off my chest. If you want me to talk more about art and mental health and how art can help you, let me know down below in the comments. Then I can talk about that in a cozy draw with me video. I hope this video inspired you to do more art, or if you're going through tough times, maybe this video helped you seeing life from a different perspective, and maybe you can get something positive out of it, and it makes you turn bad times into something positive and meaningful. As always, thank you guys so much for watching. Have a nice day. See you guys in the next video. Bye guys.